welcome to another Tears League episode on Cuz. We are here. Last 3 weeks until the playoffs for the Tears League. As you can see on the screen, right now is Free Agent League and Beginners League playoffs. And this setup was a little different. It ends quicker than the Tears League. And they didn't have no conference. So it's straight 1 to 12. Yeah, so right now this is the first week for their playoffs, and yeah, wish them luck. All the guys in the beginners league, free agent league, future stars of the tiers league. Wish them some luck. But with that being said, let we get into Big 12. So straight off the back, week 17 result for Big 12. It was a conference week. We had me versus Vachel. I took that matchup right there. Kimoy versus Chris. Kimoy took that matchup right there. And it was a prime time matchup. Kimoy took that one. At the ending too. Tough L for Chris. He needed that win. Then we had Shamoy versus Rain. Shamoy took that matchup right there. And then in the West, we have Plucky versus Drew. Tough L for Plucky. He really needed that win. Drew took that win right there. Then we had Iva versus Gino. That was a key matchup. Iva lost that one right there. Gino took that game. Then Breeze versus Richie. It wasn't close, I'll tell you that. It wasn't close. But yeah, Richie took that matchup right there. And yeah, that's your week 17 results. Alright, and this is your Big 12 Week 17 GM of the Week. We have Mr. Richie Camacho. We call this one 7 days of vacation. It's really 14 because of the 2 weeks. But yeah, 7 days of vacation. But not only that he was on vacation, the man scored the most points and he last Wemby within that time period. So that's tough. Probably would have scored 3K. I don't know. But yeah, 7 days of vacation. Richie, GM of the week for Big 12, week 17. And with that being said, this is your week 18 power rankings. We have me at 1, 2 Shamoy, 3 Drew, 4 Kimoy, 5 Gino, 6 Richie, 7 Chris, 8 Rain, 9 Plucky, 10 Vachel, 11 Iva, and 12 is Karim. And moving on to your right on the screen is your Big 12 standings. In the East, we have me at 1, 2 Kimoy, 3 Shamoy, 4 Chris, 5 Rain, 6 Vachel. In the West, we have Drew at 1, Gino at 2, Richie at 3, 4 is Plucky, 5 is Karim, and 6 is Iva. So here is Richie's Week 18 parlay. In the East, we have Shamoy versus Chris. Then we have Rain versus me. Vachel versus Kimoy. In the West, we have Gino versus Drew. Richie versus Iva. And Kadim versus Plucky. In the top right, you know how it is. We have Richie's last week results. He went 4 for 6. Right now, he is 67 out of 102. And this is your Week 18 prime matchup of the week. Yeah, we have Gino versus Jumari. This is a heavy hitter. And when I talk about these two matchups, this might be the biggest matchup for both these guys. When it comes to Jumari, if he win this week, he will be the number 1 seed in the West. If Gino win, he'll be 1 game under him with an easier schedule than Jumari. And then he will also have the tiebreaker. So this is an important game for both these guys. In my opinion, I feel like you want to have that top seed. So I don't know. We see how that goes. And then we have our key matchup in the East. Chris versus Shamoy. Now this is a big matchup. Big matchup. And Chris have to win this matchup right here. If he don't lose, and if suppose Rain win, it's gonna be tough. But at the same time, I feel like he have an easier shot than Rain. So right now, this is one of the key matchups of the week. Then back in the West, we have Plucky versus Karim. Because Plucky can't afford to lose this matchup. If he lose this matchup, then it gonna be tough for him. It's gonna be real interesting because then he gotta play Gino and Chris. And then with Karim, if he lose, he's out the playoffs. And that's kind of tough. So like if he win, he puts pressure on Plucky, and he probably still have a chance to make the playoffs. So right now, this is a key matchup. I feel like this is a huge matchup, honestly. Like this matchup means a lot for both these guys. Plus, if Plucky loses, then he gonna be under 500 for the season. So that is tough. But with all of that being said, that's really it right now for Big 12. It's tough. Rain, Chris, they tied up for that fourth, fifth slot. Right now, Kimoy, Shamoy fighting right now for that 2-third slot. And then in the West, we have Gino and Ju fighting for that top seed. Plucky, Iva, and Kadeem fighting for their playoff life. But with that being said, let's move on to Tier 3. And as we move on to Tier 3, this is your Week 17 result. In the East, we have Jimbo versus Russ. Jimbo took that matchup right there. Then we had Ish versus Draco. Ish went ahead and took that matchup. Then we had Risha versus Arnie. That was a big matchup. I ain't gonna lie, it's very entertaining. And that last day, Risha pulled away with that matchup right there. And it was very meaningful. Very meaningful. I thought she'd go off on him because when he beat her, it was a lot of chittering. But, you know, she on her peace and love era this year, so I don't know what's going on with she. But yeah, it was a good matchup right there. Two talented GMs, future Big 12 GMs, in my opinion. Not this upcoming year, but the future. But in the West, we had Chabo versus Manny. Manny took that matchup right there. I don't know what the hell is going on with Chabo, but I don't know. But yeah. Moving on, we had Jed versus Brett. That was a huge win for Brett. Huge win. Because this week he also plays Chabo. So, huge win for Brett. Jed lose that one. That's a horrible L for him, but he's trying to get a top seed over there. But yeah, then we had Ricky versus Turbo. One brother after the next. Two brothers losing Wemby is tough, but they both score a lot of points. And if he didn't lose Wemby, he probably would have won his matchup. But that was a great win for Turbo. And right now, yeah, it's really cinema. It's a movie in Tier 3. And this is your Week 17 Gem of the Week, Mr. Turbo. And I call this one, what you call? Yeah, a heart of a lion. Because he was actually down. And injuries is a part of the game, Wemby or not. He was actually down and he clawed his way back in and he did his thing. It was close between Jimbo and Risha, but I feel like with him, Jimbo scored the most. I think Jimbo scored the most in all tiers, if we're being completely honest. But Turbo wasn't far off, and he had a tougher matchup, so he was really locked in. So yeah, that's why he gave. And yeah, your Week 17 GM of the Week, Mr. Turbo Honcho. And this is your Week 18 power rankings for Tier 3. We have Jimbo at 1, Turbo at 2, Ricky at 3, Jed at 4, Risha at 5, Brett at 6, 7 is Arnie, 8 is Russ, 9 is Manny, 10 is Ish, 11 is Chabo, and 12 is Draco. In your Tier 3 standings, in the East, we have Jimbo at the 1, 2 is Ernie, 3 is Risha, 4 is Russ, tied with Ish at 5, and 6 is Draco. In the West, we have Turbo and Ricky tied at 1, 2. Turbo is the 1, Ricky at 2, Jed at 3, Brett at 4, 5 is Chabo, and 6 is Manny. And like I said, it's going to be tough. Draco is out the playoff, Manny's out the playoffs. If Chabo don't win this week, or if Brett actually wins this week, Chabo is eliminated out the playoffs. And it's really, honestly, when it comes to the West, it's really Turbo, Ricky, and Jed. I'm really interested to see who will get that top seed. Jed is playing Turbo this week, so it's gonna be really interesting. Great matchup right there. And in the East, we have Rush versus Risha. That's a big matchup right there. Arnie versus Ish. Again, Ish needs to win if you want to make it to the playoffs. And but yeah, that's really it for your power rankings. This is Gino's Parlay. And yeah, we in Week 18. In the East, we have Draco versus Jimbo. Again, prep, my boy. Don't even try. Prep. I don't even know who you're playing. I don't care. It's not Jimbo. I know that for sure. So just go prep. Then we have Risha versus Russ, Ish versus Arnie. And then in the West, we have Brett versus Chabo, Turbo versus Jet, and Ricky versus Manny. Only matchup, I'll be honest with you, there's only 2 matchups that's actually good this week. Ish versus, no, Risha versus Russ, and Turbo versus Jet. That's the big matchups right there. Everybody else, I honestly feel, well, Gino have Manny winning, so he probably sees something I don't see. So that might be a good matchup. If Gino picking Manny over Ricky, then Manny have to have a really good schedule this week. So I don't know. Let me see what's going on. But yeah, in the top right, we have, Gino's results for last week. He went 3 for 6, and he's 65 for 102. Picking Draco to beat Ish is diabolical. That's horrible, Gino. I don't. What would you take? I can understand the Ricky and Arnie, but both of them had the better schedule, and Ricky honestly had the better team at the time for that week with a Wemby situation. So I can understand those two, but not no Draco. I don't know what you doing. That was a bad pick, G. I ain't even gonna front you. But with that being said, that's it for tier 3. Let we move on to tier 2. Moving on to your tier 2 week 17 results, we had Javon versus Jordan. Javon took that matchup right there. Bosch versus Demoy. Bosch won that matchup right there. I ain't gonna lie, Demoy lose a lot of close games this year. Matter of fact, now we're thinking about it, over his years, Demoy just can never close. So at this point, he gotta be used to it by now. Then we had Rich versus Ian. Horrible matchups both ways. Rich took that matchup right there. Then in the West, we had Grove versus Lock. Grove took that matchup right there. JP versus MJ. Yeah, MJ took that matchup right there. Then we had Brandon versus Russ. Russ took that matchup right there. And this is your week 18 power rankings for tier 2. We have Russ at 1, MJ at 2, Brandon at 3, Grove at 4, Javon at 5, Bash at 6, 7 is Jordan, 8 is JP, 9 is Luck, 10 is Demoy, 11 is Rish, and 12 is Ian. And your right is your tier 2 standing. We have Jordan at 1, 2 is Bash, 3 is Rich, 4 is Javon, 5 is Demoy, and 6 is Ian. In the West, we have 1 is Russ, 2 is MJ, 3 is Brandon, 4 is Grove, 5 is JP, and 6 is Lock. And this is your Chris tier 2 parlay for week 18. We have Bash versus Jordan, Demoy versus Rich, Ian versus Javon. That's a bye week. In the West, we have Brandon versus Grove, Lock versus MJ, and Russ versus JP. And before we move on to tier 1, this is your tiers league parlays when it comes to Richie, Gino, and Chris. Right now, Chris is in the league with 69 out of 102. Richie in second place with 67, and Gino is in third with 65. Well, we have 3 more weeks, so let me see who's gonna win. So right now, Chris in the league, and they're gonna need a miracle. They're gonna need it to have a bad week, but right now, yeah, Chris is in the league. And then, quick and fast when it comes to tier 1, I don't really have much to say when it comes to tier 1. Y'all know how it is. Hopefully next year is more exciting, in my opinion, for my liking, to give them camera time, whatever the case may be. But I just not a fan of the league. I'm not a fan of the league. I'm not a fan of the members of the league. But this is your tier 1 week 18 power rankings. We have Lock at 1, Pure at 2, Chad at 3, Winston at 4, 5 is Slick, 6 is Marcel, 7 is Rhino, 8 is Joseph, 9 is Gillo, 10 is Kerry, 11 is Dylan, and 12 is Sharif. And like I said, when it comes to tier 1, it's just yeah, don't get me wrong, a good 5 or 6 of them solid, but it's only so much. It's only so much 6 people, not even 6, can carry our league. It's just a desert, my son. I don't know. You look at everybody give up when it comes to Chad, Pure, and Luck. Not Winston. I want to say Winston. He really doing good, and he's actually somebody's in beginners league, and he come into tier 1, and he really, really solid, potential high when it comes to him. So ain't really have much to say when it comes to tier 1. And that's really it when it comes to the pod, man. Right now, like I said, we in the playoffs for beginners league, we in the playoffs for free agent league, and yeah, this is when your boy gonna be scouting, seeing who really good, who deserve to be in tier 1, because God forbid I am about to take away at least 8 members out of that league. It's a whole new tier 1 we will have next year. Y'all gonna put some respect on some tier 1. Y'all gonna put respect. So right now we have some gems in these 2 leagues. Let me do my scouting, and yeah, that's it for the pod. We out.